Now, to get a band 7 or higher in the IELTS speaking test, we must be able to use a wide range of vocabulary, and we must be able to show the examiner that we know how to use idiomatic language. So to help you out, I have made this video which will aim to teach you how to use idiomatic language. And to make things easier, I have organized this video in the following way. So first we will look at what an idiom is, and we will look at the definition, and then we will look at why idioms are important, and finally we will look at some examples of idioms that you can learn. So let's get started. Now, what is an idiom? Well, I want you to listen to this carefully. An idiom is a phrase or an expression, and it has no literal meaning. That means that the meaning cannot be directly understood by looking at each word of the idiom. Now that probably won't make much sense just yet, so let's look at an example of an idiom to help you out. So for example, if you are very happy because you scored a band 7 in your speaking test, you might say, I was over the moon when I saw my results. And if we look at the literal meaning of over the moon, we might think that we're talking about the moon or something in the sky, but really, over the moon, this is an idiom. What it means that you are really happy. So I was over the moon when I saw my results, or I was very happy when I saw my results. So there you go, you have already learnt one idiom. Now let's talk about why idioms are important before we move on to learning some examples. So why are idioms important? Idioms are important because they are part of everyday English. That means that when you go to an English-speaking country such as the UK or America or Australia, they will use idioms, especially when they talk. So it is important to learn idioms so we can understand English. And secondly, it is important to learn idioms because you will be marked for idioms in the speaking test. That's right, the IELTS examiner who checks your speaking will focus on your use of idioms or your use of idiomatic language. Okay, they mean the same thing. So that's why it is very important that we learn how to understand idioms and we learn how to use idioms when we speak. So now let's look at some examples of idioms that we can learn, and hopefully we can use these in our speaking test. So to make things easier for you, I have broken these idioms down in different themes. So first we will look at colourful idioms. So that's idioms that talk about colours, but they mean something else. Then we will look at student idioms, childhood idioms, and IELTS idioms. So as you can see on your screen, there are 3 sections. The first section is the type of idiom that we will look at. So in this example, it is colourful idioms. And then the second section is the meaning, so what the idiom means. And the third section is an example sentence of how we can use this idiom. So let's get started. Well, the first idiom is out of the blue. Out of the blue. That is how we say it. Can you say it? Out of the blue. And out of the blue, it means that something has happened unexpectedly. An example of this idiom in a sentence is, yesterday, out of the blue, he asked me to marry him. And also, by the way, all these examples have been taken from the IELTS IDP website, so I will leave the link in the description below so you can study them at home. And the second idiom is in the red. Can you say it? In the red. And in the red, it means to owe money, or where your bank balance is in the minus. In the red, okay? So an example of this is, sorry, I can't afford it. I'm in the red. That means that my bank balance is very low. I'm in the red. So can you see that although we're talking about colors, its meaning has nothing to do with colours. That's why it's important to learn these idioms. That's the only way we will be able to understand them and know how to use them. Now let's look at the next idiom, and that is give someone the green light. Give someone the green light. And this means to give somebody permission. Give someone the green light. Can you say this? Give someone the green light. And here is an example. I was given the green light to start this new project. That means I was given permission to start this new project. Now let's move on to students' idioms. And the first one is day and night. Day and night. Can you say this? Day and night. And this means where we continue to work without stopping. So, for example, I was studying day and night for my IELTS exam. So I was studying for a very long time. I was studying without stopping for my IELTS exam. Okay? I was studying day and night for my IELTS exam. Now, the second idiom is drop out. Drop out. And this means to leave without finishing. We mainly use this idiom when we're talking about leaving a course or leaving university. So for example, she dropped out of the course because it was too hard. Okay, now let's look at the third one, and this is learn by heart. And this means to memorize. So if you are trying to learn some idioms by heart, that means you are memorizing idioms. So an example of this is, I learnt all my idioms by heart. I learnt all my idioms by heart. And now let's look at idioms to do with childhood. And if you're benefiting from this video, please hit that like button and leave a comment so YouTube can share this with more people. And let's continue. So the first idiom to do with childhood is brought up. Brought up. And that means raised or developed. So I was brought up in the country. And the second one is child's play. And this means when something is very easy to do. So an example of this is learning how to play a guitar was child's play. I could do it easily. Okay? And the third idiom is like a kid in a candy store. Like a kid in a candy store. Okay? Can you say this? Like a kid in a candy store. And this is when you are very excited about something, because when you put a kid in a candy store, they are usually very excited. So that's where the meaning comes from. So let's look at an example. When I arrived in the city, I was like a kid in a candy store. There was so much to see and to do. So that means that this person was very excited because of all the things that he or she could see and what they can do. Now let's look at some IELTS idioms, and these are my favorite, and I've often used them in these videos, so you might be familiar with some of these. And the first one is practice makes perfect. This one's an easy one. Practice makes perfect. And the meaning of this is straightforward actually. The meaning of this, it means to continuously improve by practicing. So the more you practice, the better you will get. Okay, and an example of this is, my teacher said that practice makes perfect. So I need to practice more. And the second one is break a leg. This one you might have heard of, it's quite a popular one, and it means to wish someone good luck. So I hope you do really well. Break a leg. And the third IELTS idiom is driving me up the wall. Driving me up the wall. Can you say that? It's a bit difficult to say. Driving me up the wall. And the meaning of this is something that annoys you. For example, waiting for my results is really driving me up the wall. If you want to look at some more idioms, again, I will leave the link in the description below. And this is your first time watching my videos, my name is Britt and I'm a qualified English teacher from the UK and an IELTS trainer. And on this channel, we talk about everything IELTS related. So if this is something that you're interested in, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions, you can follow me on Instagram. Here is the handle, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.